All right, guys, so we are going to hop into chapter 4 of the classroom in a book. And what we are going to do is learn all about objects, meaning that we're going to learn a bunch of sort of graphic commands and things like joining multiple photos into one shape, things like extending a rectangle into a cloud. So we're going to learn a lot in this chapter. There's going to be a lot of lessons, so stick with me and we'll learn how to turn an unfinished 4-page newsletter into one that looks nice and organized like this one. So we got a lot to cover. Let's go ahead and hop in. First thing we're going to do is go to Open, and let's go ahead and open the start file for chapter 4. And there we go. Now the next thing we're going to do is just make sure that we're all working with the same workspace. So we're going to go up to Window, Workspaces, Advanced, and then once you've set yours to Advanced, go ahead and come down and choose Reset Advanced. And that way we all have the same screen, so there won't be any differences between what you're seeing and what I'm seeing. Then let's go ahead and rename this file. Whenever you open one of these start files, it's always going to be 04start.indesign. And we want to give it a more specific title. So let's go to Save As. And if you're taking my class, you're going to type in chapter ch4 _ your last name. And save it into your InDesign folder. If you don't have an InDesign folder, make sure to use the New Folder button and create one and call it Chapter 4 Indesign Classroom in a Book. And then you can save all of your files into there. Now we're going to start by checking out the layers inside of InDesign and seeing how they work. So there's a layer hierarchy, and you might be wondering, well, where are these layers and how does this all work? Well, if you look right now, you can see we have this document, and if we come over to the right hand side, there's a button right there in the properties that says layers, or you can go up to where it says window and click the button right there next to the word layers, and both of those will open up your layer tab. And as we can see, be careful when you're moving these around. I accidentally pulled the Pages tab off, so I'm just going to drag it right back up there. Alright, so if I open up my Layers tab, and let's see if I can move this to the center, then you'll notice right now I only have 2 layers. But inside those layers are lots of objects. All of these objects, whether it's the flower or the text or the photos, you'll notice that we have a layer called text, and that has all the text elements. And then we have a layer called graphics, which should have all the graphic elements. And one thing that you'll notice through the Layers tab is that you can turn layers on and off. So let's go ahead and just click on something like maybe this photo right here of these red flowers. So you'll notice that by clicking on those flowers, I can now see that that layer is right here. It's the one with the little highlight next to it. It's in the text. And again, I apologize if I call it a layer. It's actually an object, but it's within the text layer. So we can see this object is currently in the text layer, which is a little strange because it's a PSD, it's not text. And we can also see that it is selected because it has this little blue highlight. And if I come over here and I click on the eyeball, you can see that it basically toggles off its visibility. It doesn't delete it. If I want to get rid of it, I could drag it to the trash can. But in this case, it just turns on and off the visibility. And one thing that's important to understand about layers is that essentially the way it works is we see everything from the top down. And to illustrate this, we're actually going to use a different document that they've provided us in the book to just kind of take a few minutes and play around with layers. And so let's go ahead and open up Layer 4 Intro IDD. So I'll do that with you. Let me just close this. And we'll go File, Open. Now I could go to Open Recent, but I'll go to Open. And you'll see Layer Intro right there. And we'll go ahead and pop that open. And what we're going to do is we're just going to play around with the layers in here. This one has the layers separated. There's 4 layers. And notice they all have a unique color. So if I were to select these numbers here, you would see a green highlight around them. It's a little tough to see, but it's there. And we can also see it corresponds to this green color right there. If we open it up, you'll see there's a group, and inside that group is lots of numbers. See how I can come inside this group and just turn off some of the numbers? And again, I'm just toggling off their visibility. So we have a layer with a group inside of it, and inside that group are objects. Let's take a look at this phone right here. So if we select the phone, you can currently see it's on the top layer. And if I turn off the eyeball, it does exactly what you would expect it to do. You can also see it's got this sort of light blue highlight color, and we can see the light blue bounding box around the phone. If we open up this layer, we can see that all that's inside of it is this smartphone PSD. PSD is a Photoshop document, so that just means that this was edited and saved out of Photoshop. You'll also notice that we have this background, which if I close these triangles and I select the background and turn it on and off, you can see that the background is essentially this big bag. And so if I grab the photo layer, and the phone layer, and I drag it below the background, you can see that now the background is on top of the phone. And that's kind of the gist of layers. You're going to see first whatever's on top, and if whatever is on top is bigger than everything else, then it's going to cover up everything else. For example, if I grabbed this bag and drag it over here, you can see how it's now completely covering the phone, but our numbers are still visible because our numbers are above the bag. Let's go ahead and grab the bag and drag it up one more layer, and now those numbers are hidden behind it. Why? Because the bag is on a higher layer. So come in here and feel free to mess this up. We're not going to turn this in. This is just a practice layer for you guys to get familiar. Play around with that a little bit and put those back over here. Feel free to move any of this stuff around, switch any of these layers around however you want. All right, and you might want to pause the video and do that because I'm going to continue on with the next steps. So going back to our InDesign file, let's go back to our start file. The next thing we're going to want to do is take a look at the Layers tab over here. And as you can see right here, it's currently open. If yours isn't, you can either select Layers on the Properties panel, or you can go back to Window, Layers. And you'll see a check mark next to it if it is available. All right. So we're going to focus on this page number 1 right here. And in case you forgot, you got to remember these are spreads, right? These 2 pages represent a spread. In this case, one that would be folded to make this layer the cover. And so this is going to be page 1 right here. I'll zoom in by hitting Command plus. That would be that would be Control plus on a PC. And once I zoom in, I'm going to use the space bar. I'm going to hold down the space bar and get the hand tool, and that will allow me to recenter what I want to focus on. Zoom in a little bit more here. Okay, so we have this image of these flowers right here. And if I click on it, you can see that the bounding box around these flowers is light blue. And given that it's on a light blue background, that could be difficult to see and work with. And so we're going to change that color. And so the way we're going to do it right now, there's actually lots of ways to do it, but right now let's go ahead and change it by simply finding it over on the Layers panel. And since it's got a blue background, I can see we've got graphics in green and text in blue. And this is an object within the text layer. So if I open this up, I can see there's the photo right there with the blue highlight. Lets me know it's selected. And I can see it. It's currently on the top of this layer. So for the purpose of getting more familiar with how this works, let's go ahead and put this back up into the proper folder because it's not text. It's a PSD, again, a Photoshop document. And it's obviously a graphic, so let's put it up with the graphics. Go ahead and open them both up. And I'm just simply going to click on it and drag it up. Let's put it at the top. And just by doing that, it does change the color of the bounding box to match the color of the graphics layer. So we have moved it up into the graphics layer, and now the question is, well, what if we want to move it within this layer? Well, we can click and drag, and while that works, if you're in the middle of a project, sometimes going over to the layers panel and using things like manually dragging everything is a little time consuming. So there's another option, and that's to go up to where it says Object Arrange. And you'll see we have these options: bring to front, bring forward, send backwards, and send to back. So let's go ahead and just send it to the back. And you can see by clicking that, it's going to put it all the way at the bottom of the graphics layer. And in this case, we can still see it. It doesn't really affect anything because there's nothing above it or beneath it in this layer that would obscure it. Let's go ahead and drag it back down to the text layer, and then let's try it there. So now if we select it and we go up to Object, Arrange, Send to Back, it's going to disappear. And the reason it's disappearing is because we have this blue layer that is in here somewhere. Maybe this one, nope. That one, nope. We could just click on it right here. And let's see if this is it right here. So you can see that there is now something in front of it. And because there's something in front of it, we are not seeing it, despite the fact that it is still there. You can see if I click on it, we can see the bounding box. I can drag it back up to the top in the text layer, and now we can see it again. But the point is that if we can use that send back within the graphics layer and not have to worry about a background element obscuring the image. Let's go ahead and drag it back. Actually, let's use the Command Z button. Command or Control Z is the undo button. And if we hit Command Z once, it puts it back there. Hit it again, undoes some of the things I clicked on. And if we keep going, it should pop back up into the graphics layer. And there it is right there. Okay, so while we're here in our layers panel, let's do just a few more things. One thing I wanted to point out was that we can lock layers, which is really helpful, especially when you have background images that you don't want to accidentally select. So if I come over to this graphics layer, there's a little button right here that lets me lock that layer. So let's go ahead and do that. And notice that the little pen next to it now indicates that you can't do anything to this layer. Can't even, so we can't do anything to that. And then let's go ahead and create a new layer by using the new layer icon. And let's double click on that layer. And let's change its color to, how about bright green? And we'll click OK. And the next thing we want to do is let's label this background. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our background images in it. So to label a layer, you can click on it once and then click again, and that should make it editable. You can also change the name right here. If this thing pops open, you could change it right there. So let's go ahead and call it background. And then we'll click OK. And then let's move this one all the way to the bottom. Now, before we move on to the next step, let's go ahead and save our work by hitting Command or Control S. Okay, for our next step, we are going to move some objects into that background layer. So once again, we need to open up our layers panel. We'll go up to, there we go. Select the software and it pops right up. Okay, so what we're going to do is move some things into this background layer. And in order to see a little bit more of my screen, I'm going to hit Command minus. That's going to be Control minus on a PC. And what we want to do is we want to select this purple background, and we also want to select this garden image. So let's hold down the Shift key. That'll allow us to select multiple things. And now you can see we've got these little control points and this bounding box that goes around both of those elements. Now, here's something that's kind of cool. I don't actually have to go in and open up the text and kind of drag these in directly. Watch this. Notice how because they're selected and they're in the text layer, we see a little highlight right here. Well, I can just click on that highlight and drag that down into the background layer. And just by opening that, now you can see the two layers I selected have been moved to the background layer. Again, just kind of saves you a step of having to open up that text layer and go find those two additional layers. Just by clicking on them in the document here, we were able to select them on our layers panel, and then just clicked on that little box and dragged it down, and that brought whatever was selected into this layer. And then let's go ahead and go down to page 2 and 3, and we're going to select this blue color as well as this sort of yellowish tan. So we want to use the selection tool. You can hit the V key to enable the selection tool, or you can go up to the first tool on your toolbar. But I would strongly recommend that you at the very least start using the V key for the selection tool, because we're going to use it all the time. So let's select the purple background, and then we'll hold down Shift and we'll select this color as well. And once again, we can see that it's highlighting in the text layer. So it looks like both of them are in the text layer. So I'm simply going to click on the little highlight icon right there and drag it into the background. Okay, now one thing that I want to explain to you guys, because it could definitely be a little confusing, is this. If we open up the background layer right now, we see two rectangles, but we just put 4 elements into the background layer. Better yet, let's call them objects. We put 4 objects into the background, but we're only seeing 2 of them. And that is because it's only going to show you the background elements, objects, for whatever page you have selected, or in this case, layout. So my point is that if I select these, notice that the rectangle, this purple one, and this garden cover image pop up in the backgrounds folder. But if I come down here and I select these ones, now we just have 2 solid rectangles. So, for me to see all of those layers, I would need to select everything. Let's see if that's something we can do here. And notice how, look at, when I try to drag down a bounding box, it's not going to let me select both spreads at the same time. So just be aware, pardon me, that whatever spread you have selected is the one that you will see the layers for. And just to show you that in a little further example here, notice how in the text layer right now, we only see 2 items, class date and time and rectangle. But as soon as I come up and select this layout, now we have lots of elements. So that's just something to be aware of, is that you will only see what is in the specific pages you have selected. Now that we've gone ahead and created a background layer, let's go ahead and lock it so that we don't accidentally click on any of those background elements. We can unlock our graphics layer, and let's go ahead and hit Command S to save our changes.